Throughout the flow of time, women did not just survive, they reshaped the world. Each of them etched their name into history as a symbol of their courage. Today, drawing inspiration from the firsts of the past, we will discover the strongest female figures on the stage of history. Because the power of a woman breaks chains, surpasses limitations, and transforms the world. Each first is only a beginning. Those first steps reverberate across the globe. Now, let us bear witness to the power of women once again, because their story is the story of all of us. One of the earliest female artists in history was a poet from ancient Greece, Sappho. Living in the 7th century BC, Sappho became one of the most important figures in Greek literature, solidifying women's place in the arts for centuries. Known as Sappho of Lesbos, this great poet etched her name into history as the first female poet. Through her poems about love, beauty, and nature, she created a language that questioned both women's emotional worlds and societal roles. She is considered one of the most powerful examples of female poets throughout history. From then to today, the power in her poems continues to emphasize how important the female voice is in the arts. In the Middle Ages, it was extremely difficult for women to make their mark in the intellectual world. However, Hildegard von Bingen was one of the most influential thinkers of the 12th century. A nun, mystic, composer, and medical expert, she became one of the first geniuses in Western history to emerge in the fields of science and art as a woman. Hildegard was not just a religious figure. She also left significant works in medicine, natural sciences, music, and philosophy. In the field of music, she transformed early medieval religious music by composing numerous hymns. Her music collection, Symphonia Harmonia Celestium Revelationum, the harmony of celestial revelations, showcases the unique melodic and mystical elements in her compositions. Hildegard is regarded not just as a woman, but as a figure far ahead of her time. She was an intellectual revolutionary and proved to everyone the crucial role women play in both the arts and sciences. She was one of the first names to write the deepest philosophical and scientific works ever written by a woman in the Middle Ages. One of the greatest painters of the Baroque period, Artemisia Gentileschi, transcended both her gender and the societal pressures of her time to create powerful and bold works of art. Gentileschi became one of the first female painters recognized in the 17th century, and she made her mark in history by establishing herself on equal terms with male artists. She is especially known for her painting, Judith Slaying Holofernes. In this piece, she explores themes of female strength and autonomy, while also symbolizing the struggle to break free from male oppression. The trauma she experienced at a young age and her fight to exist in a male-dominated art world deeply influenced her art. This power and resistance are reflected in every brushstroke, evoking a sense of courage and freedom. Artemisia Gentileschi is not only an example for female artists, but also a source of inspiration. Her struggle marked an important turning point in establishing the place of women in the art world. In the 19th century, it seemed impossible for women to participate in male-dominated fields like education and medicine. However, Elisabeth Blackwell made history by becoming the world's first female doctor, graduating from Geneva Medical College in New York in 1849. Blackwell paved the way for women to take their first steps into the medical world after a challenging journey. Blackwell's achievement symbolized not only her life, but also the belief that women everywhere should have equal rights in scientific and medical fields. At a time when medical schools were closed to women, the idea of providing medical education to women was initially shocking to most. Yet, despite all the obstacles, Blackwell's determination opened this path. After graduation, Elisabeth Blackwell didn't remain just a doctor. She also became an activist, advocating for women's right to exist in the medical field. In 1857, she founded the New York Infirmary for Women and Children, taking another revolutionary step in providing healthcare services to women. Clara Shortridge Foltz symbolizes the fight for women's participation in the legal field in the United States. In 1878, she became the first female lawyer in America by receiving her law license in California. Foltz not only advocated for women's equal rights in career choices, but also broke through the legal barriers, opening the path to the profession for many women. Her struggle marked a crucial step toward women gaining professional equality. One of the first female directors to establish women's place in the film industry was Guy-Blaché. In 1896, at just 23 years old, she began her career as France's first female film director. Additionally, the first narrative film technically was also directed by Guy-Blaché. Her famous quote, "Cinema is an art, and there can be no gender distinction in art," is still known today. Guy-Blaché was also the first female producer in Hollywood. At a time when the film industry was male-dominated, it was extremely difficult to establish women as directors. However, using the power of cinema, Guy-Blaché made her mark in history. The 1900 Paris Olympics was the first time women competed in the Games, but the name that marked this historic event was Hélène de Pourtalès. The 37-year-old Swiss athlete won the gold medal in the women's sailing competition in 1900, becoming the first female Olympic champion to make history. Pourtalès became not just a sportsperson, but a powerful symbol of women's presence in the male-dominated world of sports. This victory marked the beginning of female participation in the Olympic Games. The right to education for women has always been a matter that needed defending. However, one of the first great firsts in education was achieved by Marie Curie in the world of science. Curie shattered all the prejudices that suggested women could not succeed in scientific research. Marie Curie, who won 2 Nobel Prizes in 1903 and 1911, became the first woman to win a Nobel and the first person to win 2 Nobel Prizes in a single scientific field. Curie went down in history not just as a scientist, but as a figure who argued that women should have a place in the world of science. In 1918, England granted women limited voting rights. However, one of the most significant figures in the attainment of this right was Emmeline Pankhurst. In 1903, she founded the suffragette movement, which showed the world that women were a powerful voice. In one of Pankhurst's famous speeches, she said, "Women are not silent because they are used to silence. They are silent because they have been silenced, but we will not be silent anymore." Under Pankhurst's leadership, this movement paved the way for many women to demand their rights. Imprisonments, street rallies, and protests. Everything became part of the fight for women's right to vote. Ultimately, women gained the right to vote in 1918. Amelia Earhart was the pioneer for women in aviation. In 1932, she made history as the first female pilot to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. This bold step not only showed that women could overcome physical barriers, but also break societal molds. One of Earhart's most famous quotes is, "Flying is the purest form of freedom." Another is, "For a woman to be successful, all she needs is belief in herself. Society's obstacles cannot stop her." Earhart became an inspiration for women worldwide. Sadly, she disappeared in the Pacific Ocean in 1937, but her legacy, courage, and determination live on. During World War II, women took on significant roles, not only behind the scenes, but also on the battlefield. One such figure was Lyudmila Pavlichenko, who killed 309 German soldiers, becoming the most successful female sniper in history. In the Soviet Union, she was known as the Immortal Soldier. Pavlichenko said, "Women cannot just sit at home and wait. We have a place in the war too." Pavlichenko demonstrated the courage and ability of women on the battlefield, proving to the world that this domain was not solely for men. Women's presence in politics gained momentum in the 1960s. The first female prime minister of this era was Sirimavo Bandaranaike. In 1960, she became the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, making history as the world's first female head of government. Bandaranaike marked a turning point in Sri Lanka's history. She was one of the first symbols of women not only having roles in the family and home, but also holding power in governance. One of the firsts for women in science and technology belongs to Valentina Tereshkova from the Soviet Union. In 1963, she became the first woman to travel into space, spending 71 hours in orbit. This marked a symbol that women could also be equal to men in technology and science. Tereshkova said, "I went into space, not just as a woman, but on behalf of all humanity." The digital transformation of the women's movement and the hashtag #MeToo movement in the 21st century, the fight for women's rights was shaped by the power of technology and social media. The #MeToo movement, in particular, became a powerful digital platform, allowing women to raise their voices against sexual harassment and assault. This movement, started by Tarana Burke in 2006, went viral on social media in 2017, creating a global impact. Burke emphasized that women being able to raise their voices was not only an individual right, but a revolution for all women. Burke said, "Raising your voice is a revolution not just for you, but for all women. Now is the time to stand against those who try to silence us." Through social media, women have been able to share their stories about violence and discrimination, raising awareness both on an individual and societal level. These digital platforms have allowed women to make their voices heard more powerfully than ever before. The heroes of the past, the inspiring leaders of today, and the unique architects of tomorrow. Whether their names are written in history books or not, every woman's story is unique, but equally important. Women do not just write history, they shape the writing of history. Within every woman, there is a revolutionary force. That power can shape societies, change the world. And this power, in an endless journey, will always grow stronger. Today, all women are unique, because each one exists to leave a mark on history in their own way. This struggle is not just a woman's struggle, it is our struggle. To gain more inspiration and join us on this journey, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share your thoughts in the comments. Remember, the unique melody of every woman will make the world shine brighter.